Good morning. This is Adri, your Athens, Georgia County weather girl with a weather update for the Athens area. So presently it's 79 degrees outside with relative humidity around 76%. Winds out of the south-southeast around 4 to 5 miles per hour. Later today, we can expect to see some rain build into our area around 4 to 5 o'clock. That rain's going to persist over the next couple, 3 days. All right, so we're all interested in Hurricane Helene, and right now it's still a tropical storm, but I think in the next hour or two it's going to be officially named Hurricane Helene as this thing moves into the Gulf of Mexico from the Caribbean. Right now the system is off the very tip of the Yucatan. So on the map here, we'll clear off some other stuff here. The eye wall of the system, what will become the eye wall, is right here off the tip of Yucatan. That's going to continue moving northwest. Once it clears the Yucatan, it's going to start turning northeast and heading toward Florida. And when it makes that turn and getting into the Gulf of Mexico waters, it's going to rapidly intensify. The Gulf of Mexico is very warm right now. The water's around 86, 85 degrees. It's going to move very, very quickly across the Gulf of Mexico into the Bay of, the Appalachian Bay, the Big Bend area of Florida. Per the cone of uncertainty, we expect this thing to make landfall around 10, 11 o'clock on Thursday evening. We expect the system is going to proceed northward again at a very rapid pace. That's going to impact us here in Athens, Georgia. Probably in the early morning hours, we'll start seeing some of those effects of those strong wind gusts and heavy rainfalls. And 1, 2 in the morning, all the way up until the core of the system passes through around 4 to 5 a.m. Friday morning. We're going to look at a couple of models right now. These are hurricane models that are designed specifically to only monitor hurricanes. They don't really deal with any kind of weather phenomenon, and they're fairly reliable and accurate. There are 4 different models, however, and so each of these models have pretty much all been a lockstep agreement that things are going to land in the Big Bend of Florida, Appalachian Bay area. There's been a little divergence with a couple of the models in the last 12 hours as far as the track goes from that Florida landfall, whether it goes northward towards Athens or northward toward Atlanta. So we're going to look at 4 of these models. And as we look at these different models, I want to kind of show one thing to look towards here. So if we can imagine like the center of the hurricane right here, if we can kind of just dissect it and make it some quadrants. The most dangerous area of a hurricane is in the upper right quadrant. And the reason why this is because this hurricane is moving northward and the winds are moving in a counterclockwise direction. The strongest winds are going to be right here in this area. As the system moves northward and the winds move northward, it's just a very, very potentially dangerous situation. This is also where you have a lot of storm surge issues on the coast. We're not going to worry, obviously, about storm surges, but as this thing tracks northward at a very fast pace, we are going to have to deal with some very strong winds and very strong precipitation ahead of the system. The other thing to note about these models, they're all in agreement that this is a very large hurricane, not necessarily in terms of intensity. It's going to be intense, but also the footprint is very large. So we're going to start seeing the effects of that hours before it actually gets here. So we're looking at the HWRF model, and HWRF has us making landfall. Let's see if I can get focus back on my browser. It's going to make landfall at a 343 millibar hurricane. That puts it around a very weak Cat 4, a very strong Category 3 hurricane. The HWRF has this thing pretty much dissect Georgia and come up right around Monroe, Lawrenceville area. By the time it reaches that area, it's around a 955 millibar low. That is absurd. We do not want that, but that's what we're looking at potentially to have the system. That 955 low, we could have wind gusts with that associated with when that run 80 to 90, 100 miles per hour. Not out of the question. So that's the HWRF. As I mentioned, there's 4, so we're going to look at quickly the others. The HMON is another, has making landfalls a 947 low, which is going to be a Category 3. The HMON differs a little bit, has it going a little more westward over Atlanta. Again, if we look at the quadrant, as I described earlier, if you imagine this upper right quadrant, this is our area of interest right here that we have potentially the highest wind gust and convection. You can see this area of very strong convection, this band of strong convection right here that will pass over the Athens, Georgia, according to the HMON model. This is the area that, with convection being so strong and the strong wind gusts that we have potential for tornadoes. Wouldn't have anything long track, but they could spin up and be very dangerous, just compounding an already very dangerous situation. All right, we'll look at the HAFS-A model, the HAFS-A model. Next, HAFS-A model has this thing making landfall as a 929 millibar hurricane, and that's going to be a Category 4 hurricane. And this thing, again, travels pretty much right into central and to split down the middle of the state. Extremely strong bands of convection ahead of the system. We'll look at the HAFS-B, the HAFS-B model. This model I'm not a huge fan of, not because it's not unreliable or unpredictable or whatever, but just because like it's predicting that the system is going to make landfall at a 908 millibar Category 5 hurricane. This is bonkers. So the HAFS-B has us again move it kind of more in the middle of the state. By the time it reaches our area, we're looking at a low pressure of around 950 or so, 960 millibars. Again, we could have some very strong wind gusts associated with the system, upwards of 70, 80, 90 miles per hour wind gusts. Sustained winds are going to be around 30 to 40 miles per hour. We're timing on this. We're looking at the bulk of this system to pass through the Athens, Georgia area anywhere from like 1 o'clock upwards around 4 to 5 o'clock. So we'll start feeling it around the early morning, Friday morning hours, and then the actual core of the system will probably pass through closer to around 4 or 5 o'clock. Rainfall amounts. So there's been a little bit of wavering on how much rain we could potentially see here. Again, there's been some westward shift with the hurricane track. Even this band of precipitation right here, this bright gold, it's shifted a little bit east recently. Regardless, I feel in the Athens, Georgia area, we can expect anywhere from between 5 and 7 inches of rain. We may have locally heavier spots of rain. Wind gusts. This is the part that this is the part of the hurricane that I'm most concerned about in combination with the heavy precipitation totals. So as it makes landfall, by the way, this is the GFS model. It has making landfall as a Category 3 hurricane. So you can see the very strong wind gust over here to the right-hand side of that system, as we looked at before, kind of dividing up into quadrants. Wind gust here around 90 to 95 miles per hour. As we step further up in the state, now the core is just a little bit south of Macon here. We can see wind gusts off to the right of it, around 95 miles per hour over in the Augusta area. And we kind of skip in time a little bit, and the core is kind of close to Gainesville at this point. And we have some very strong wind gusts to the east of this, anywhere from between 70 and 73. I think it's not out of the question that when this system passes through, if it maintained this kind of track, we could see wind gusts in Athens, Georgia, in that overnight area hours, anywhere between 60, 70, 80. We might even, not out of the question, to see some 90-mile-an-hour wind gusts. I think that's probably an outlier, but we could definitely see between 50, 60, 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So the concern there is that we have a lot of rain moving in ahead of the system, and that rain's going to soften the ground, and we have those very strong wind gusts in. There's potential for trees falling on power lines and other structures and houses, and that's obviously a very dangerous situation. I would strongly encourage everyone to have a safety plan for Thursday night and Friday morning, because associated with this, the high wind gusts and the precipitation, the convection, increased chance of tornadoes, and you want to be notified in the event that something like that is heading your way. I would recommend having a app installed on your phone that has some kind of alarm notification system for tornadoes and other severe weather. Have your sound turned on. I usually turn mine off at night because I don't like being bugged by spam calls or whatever. Like, make sure and have this thing on and turned on. You also need a safety plan. Make sure you know how to get your loved ones and get to a very central location of the house. If you got a basement, go there. If you don't, go to an interior room away from doors and windows, and make sure you can implement that plan quickly. You may not have a lot of time. So to recap, right now the system is still in the Caribbean, right around the Yucatan Strait, and we expect it to be named an official hurricane in the next little bit here, the next hour or two. Once it is named a hurricane, it'll be in the Gulf of Mexico. It will rapidly cross the Gulf, intensifying rapidly, making landfall of more than likely a Category 3, if not a low-grade Category 4 hurricane. And then from there, it could track anywhere over Atlanta. It could track in the middle state, Georgia. It may track over Athens. I don't think that's really going to change how we our weather, what we can expect here with regard to the wind gusts and the precipitation amounts. I think we're going to see some very strong winds early Friday morning, some very heavy rains. So again, please be careful. If you have, by the way, if you have a yard stuff like trampolines or whatever, please tie those things down, because those things can get going through the air and literally damage stuff and people, whatever. Your outdoor furniture and stuff like that, grab that and put it in a garage, or if you have to bring it in your kitchen or whatever, put it there for a little bit. But please be safe. And if you want to continue kind of checking in on obviously subscribe to my channel. I also post updates on the Athens subreddit, which is reddit.com/r/Athens. There's a live thread right now that we're posting updates to, and we'll continue updating throughout the day into tomorrow and tomorrow evening. So that's it for now. I hope you all stay safe, and we'll talk to you next time.